Hello,
How are you today?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Yeah, good, pretty good. It's Friday. I'm happy.
Yeah, me too.
How was your day?
Well, it was, mm, yeah, it was pretty relaxed.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have a lot of stuff to do for work, but it was okay.
Mhm.
It wasn't stressful.
Okay, that's good. How
Yeah.
about for the weekend? Any plans?
Mm, So far, yes, yes. On Sunday, we are going to go out for maybe I'm not so sure if for breakfast or for brunch
Mhm.
because it's my sister's birthday.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Does your sister live in Mexico City?
Yes,
Oh, okay. Is she near you? Or like, because Mexico City is huge. Like she
no,
could be
no,
2 hours away.
no, it's near.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
great.
we live like 15, like
Hmm.
15 minutes from each other.
So do you visit each other often?
Um, More or less,
Yeah.
maybe like one or two times each couple of weeks.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's much more often than I see my brother.
Okay.
All right. Oh, by the way, I wanted to ask you permission. For this class, my boss asked me to record one of my classes so that she can evaluate. Is it okay if I record this class?
Yes, it's
Huh?
great.
All
Yeah.
right. Thanks. Okay. So today's topic is about art
Okay.
and it's about graffiti art. Let's share sound. Okay. So the question is graffiti art? And I wanted to ask, how do you feel about graffiti?
Mm, uh, I have like mixed feelings about it because
Mhm.
most of the time it's just, I believe it's just vandalism.
Yeah.
But then there is some graffiti art that it's really awesome. And there have been times where the artist asks for permission in order
Mhm.
to do the graffiti in
Right.
some places.
Hmm.
So there can be like times where the city government did a program where in some parts of the city in some buildings they like allow several artists to make graffitis.
Yeah. Yeah. They make usually a mural.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel about that when you see those murals that are paid for by the city? I love them. What do you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah. I believe those ones are really awesome.
Mhm.
And it's not just like mm,
Like a
it's,
scribble.
it's scribbles and offensive words and something like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, for example, the picture on the left, this is a graffiti art, but on the right, that's also graffiti art.
Yeah.
So it could be just writing or it could be an incredible picture. You never know.
Yeah, like a signature or something like that.
Mhm. Okay. So we have some vocabulary. The first one is boast. Do you know boast?
Yes. Is letter B, to speak arrogantly about one's achievements, possession, or abilities.
Yes. So, have you ever boasted? For example, my brother and I like to compete. And when I win, I boast for days. How about you? Have you ever boasted?
Yeah, I used to boast a lot when I was a child about my school grades.
Yes.
And also when I gather with my friends and play video games, the ones they were, well, it could be me or the one who wins the match, keep boasting for a lot of time and just picking on the losers.
Of course. Yeah. Same thing with me and my brother. All right. So let's look at number 2, memorialize. Do you know this one?
I'm gonna go with letter G, to preserve the memory of someone or something.
Yes. So for example, when I travel, I like to take, do you know candid? I like to take candid photos.
Yeah, like in the moment without telling the person.
Yeah, like by surprise. I don't tell them, okay, everyone smile, 3, 2, 1. I just take it.
Yeah.
So I like to take candid, funny photos of my my friends or my family, and to remember my trip. So I memorialize the trip with my candid photos. How about you? Is there anything that you memorialize?
Not really, because since each day I'm consuming a lot of information and reading stuff, like whatever doesn't provides some kind of usefulness, or I tend to forget it. But I'm like almost the same as you. When I travel, I like to take a lot of pictures of the landscape or the people. And normally I never take pictures of myself.
Yeah.
So only take the pictures of something I find interesting or something to make me remember like a specific thing of the trip.
Yeah, I'm similar. I really try to avoid being in the photos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like taking the photos, but I don't want to be in the picture. All right. And then, what do you think is something that is important that we should memorialize?
For example, historical documents, because now we have the tools to digitalize them in order to avoid the weather condition, to keep deteriorating their physical conditions.
Yeah, to keep it from deteriorating.
Okay. For example, one example could be like the American Constitution. You can like digitalize it in order to keep like digital copy of the actual thing. Also for keeping records or like paintings, it could be a good option. And now, and nowadays, when with 3D printers, we can make, I believe you can make copies or sculptures. Then maybe in the past wasn't even possible to think about it.
Right. Yeah, because sometimes artwork is stolen or destroyed. So I think it's important to memorialize them. Okay. And then number 3 is entail. If you need an example, I can give you one.
Yes, please, because I'm not so sure.
Okay. So I don't like cooking because it entails using a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of ingredients, and it's expensive. So I think cooking entails too many things for me to enjoy.
Letter A, a person, thing, or circumstance causing inconvenience or annoyance.
No, this one, entail, is a verb.
Okay.
Or for example,
To involve, letter E, to involve something as a necessary part.
You got it. Yes. So entail is kind of like to involve something that you need. For example, what is entailed by your job? For example, as a teacher, my job entails listening, speaking, making lessons, and evaluating my students. What about your job? What does your job entail?
It's similar. It entails to speaking, listening, performing interviews, writing reports, not teaching, but guiding people about the steps or the action they need to take in order to accomplish something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And also in the past, it entails to us wearing suits and ties.
Suits and ties. Yeah. And now you're free. It doesn't entail
so far,
suits and ties.
I don't know if we are going to return to the formal dress code.
Yeah. So I think in Seattle, it's coming soon. I think in the summer. Okay. So number 4, elaborate. Okay, elaborate can be an adjective or a verb. Here, elaborate is the adjective. And do you need an example?
Yeah, it would be letter D, detail or complicate in design.
Perfect, yeah. So as the adjective, it means just detailed. For example, my sister's cooking is very elaborate. She uses a lot of ingredients and she makes things really delicious with a lot of spices. So I love her food. What about you? Can you give me an example of elaborate?
It could be like, for example, the paintings or Da Vinci were really elaborate.
Yeah, the paintings by Da Vinci are really elaborate. Da Vinci.
And also like coding apps, it's very elaborate because you need a lot of stop in the code. Like
Mhm.
you need to think about every single possibility in order to keep the app or the program running without errors.
Right. And then let's use elaborate as a verb. As a verb, it means to explain something with more detail.
Okay.
So, for example, I always ask my mom to elaborate when she answers questions because I'll say, Mom, what are you doing? And she'll say, working. I'll say, can you elaborate, Mom? What are you working on? How is your work? It's so hard to speak with her because she doesn't elaborate.
Yeah, I tend
So,
to do that.
so remember for the verb, you say elaborate, and the ending isn't like et, it's like eight. Elaborate.
Elaborate.
For the verb.
Elaborate.
The
Okay.
adjective, elaborate, and it sounds like R-E-T at the end. And then when you say as a verb, you say elaborate.
Okay.
Okay. So when, can you give me an example of when to elaborate?
For example, in my work, when I'm reporting findings to my boss, it could be like a short version of the findings, but then when we are explaining to the federal entity, I need to elaborate all the findings in order for them to understand and know what actions they need to take.
Perfect. Okay. And then the next one, number 5, nuisance. Have you heard of
Nuisance.
this?
Yes. Is layer a person, thing, or circumstance causing inconvenience or annoyance.
And remember, AU sounds like an O,
Causing.
causing. Yeah. So, what is a nuisance for you? For example, for me, I live in Seattle now, so it's a nuisance because we have rain so often,
Yeah.
and the rain is a nuisance. Like it's so hard to go out and get things done in the rain.
Yeah. For me, a nuisance is wearing ties and the heat of the summer. That combination is really a nuisance for me.
Yeah, the summer heat in Mexico is no joke. All right. And the next one, jurisdiction. Have you heard of this?
Yes. The official power to make legal decisions and judgments.
So, for example, I think from the US states, my state, Texas, my home state, is probably the most strict jurisdiction. The laws are so strict and there's so many laws, and it's so easy to make a mistake.
Really?
So, yeah, Texas has a lot of strange laws. And then we also have a lot of laws that are very strict, like the prison time that you get for doing something wrong is much longer than other states usually. So our jurisdiction is very intense. What about your jurisdiction? What's your jurisdiction like?
Mm, I could give you an example.
Yeah, an example, please.
Yeah, because I'm not familiar with the specific jurisdiction or my state. But since since I live in the capital of the country, in Mexico City, is normally the laws here are very strict compared to the rest of the states. But for example, using in my work, I work at a federal entity who has jurisdiction about all the institutions or state departments that use federal budget.
Mhm. All right, great example.
Yeah.
Okay, last one, prohibit.
To forbid something by law, rule, or other authority.
Yeah, you could also use, for example, prohibit something that your parents told you not to do. For example, when I was a teenager, my mom prohibited us from chewing the food with our mouth open.
Yeah.
So I sometimes would want to annoy her, so I would eat like just to make her angry because she prohibited that action. How about you? What is something you did that was prohibited?
It's kind of the same. My mom prohibited me from chewing gum when I was younger, because I keep doing the same thing with my mouth open and just making how do you say?
Making sounds?
No, the bubble.
Oh, making the spit bubbles.
Yeah,
Oh, I think moms are universal.
yeah.
All right, let's go to the next part. Okay, will you please read this?
Graffiti is a form of visual communication, usually illegal, involving the unauthorized marking of public space. Although the common image of graffiti is a stylistic symbol or phrase painted on a wall by a member of a street gang, some graffiti is not gang-related. Graffiti can be understood as antisocial behavior performed in order to gain attention or as a form of thrill-seeking, but it also can be understood as an expressive art form.
Mhm. Okay, so I heard a couple things when you're speaking. Remember the AU, we pronounce like O, so unauthorized.
Unauthorized.
Mhm. Unauthorized.
Unauthorized.
Perfect. Yeah. And then another one that I heard was usually. So remember, it sounds
Yeah,
like it has a Y, usually.
usually. Usually.
Usually.
Usually.
Yes, that's great. All right. And then, do you know thrill seeking?
Yeah, like wanting for like adrenaline feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. Wanting some excitement.
Yeah,
For example, what have you done for thrill seeking?
mm, like mm, going camping at night with some friends
Mhm.
or hiking.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, heights are the best for thrill seeking.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right. So here, they're saying that usually graffiti is often connected with gang members and being gang related. But when I grew up, I knew kids who did graffiti and they weren't in gangs. They just wanted to
yeah,
write their names on the wall. It was more like thrill seeking.
yeah.
How about in Mexico? What's it like in Mexico with graffiti?
For example, when I was like in high school, or like because here in Mexico is different, the grade, well, the school levels.
Right, I know what you
It's
mean.
it's it was between elementary school and high school.
Hmm.
There, I had a couple of classmates that did graffitis, but well, sometimes in the walls, but mainly in just their notebooks. They
Mhm.
draw the graffiti, and they were cool because sometimes they were like just letters, the phrases or the names or other classmates,
Mhm.
because the other classmates asked them to do their names in a graffiti form.
Ah, right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's some artistic sense about writing your name in a graffiti form.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's kind of like calligraphy.
yeah,
Yeah. So there's that artistic sense of it. And then is there any point where you just look at graffiti and you think that's not
yeah.
art? For
Insane.
example, oh, you know, public bathrooms?
Yeah,
In the public bathrooms, sometimes on the toilet stalls, they have just stupid things written on there, and I think, oh, this is not art.
yeah, because sometimes, or most of the times, there's really no art about it. It's just the letters,
Yeah,
normal letters with offensive offensive message.
yeah, yeah. This is like something really offensive scribbled on
Yeah.
there. Uh-huh. All right, and then let's go to the next one. Okay, so this is an example of graffiti where it could be used artistically.
Yeah.
And why do you think this might be artistic? Why is it different from the writing on the bathroom wall?
Well, first maybe because it requires more skill, more
Mm-hmm.
skills in order to make it, and it almost it feels like, well, it has a like a meaning. Like, well, for me, when I see it, I see like two opposites of life, like the children just enjoying the rain without, mm, I don't know,
Without a
second think.
care.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and it seems happy about it. And on the other hand, the adult, like a typical office person, under the umbrella, trying to stay dry, and avoid contact with the rain, and like protecting his briefcase.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and his glasses too, I bet, because I know
Yeah,
when I'm in the rain, I'm always protecting the glasses.
yeah.
So, how does this graffiti art make you feel? What do you think it's about?
Mm, maybe that, mm, trying to make us remember that the little things of life bring us happiness or bring us joy. Like even the rain, it could be something that entertain us because we
Yeah,
can go out and play and or just enjoy. Like for example, the smell before rain, or the
right.
smell of things under the rain also
Mm-hmm.
evoke some feelings.
Yeah.
Well, and for some people it's relaxing, because for other people they hate rain.
Oh, for
But
me,
it can,
I'm okay with rain as long as it's hot outside. But if it's really cold and then it's raining, I'm like a
okay.
little chihuahua just shaking. But yeah, I think it's about childhood and adulthood.
Yeah,
And Do you think that it's negative towards adulthood or positive? What do you think it's saying about growing up?
Mm, maybe because as an adults we tend to forgive the things we used to enjoy, and we focus on just doing our work in order to get paid and survive.
Yeah, yeah,
And when you are a child, you don't have those worries because your parents provide you with food, with a house, and almost in most cases, uh, almost all you need as a child.
yeah. And then if you look at their expressions,
Yeah, the
you can
kid,
see.
the kid drinking the rain,
Mhm.
and the all has like face of like disgust.
Yeah. So after thinking about that, what do you think that the artist wanted to do with this work? What do you think they wanted to make people think about or do? For example, when I saw the man with the briefcase, it made me sad because I thought, oh, I became him.
Yeah,
That's me in Seattle. I'm like, oh, get away from me, rain. And I thought, oh my God, I've lost that childhood glee, that happiness.
yeah, yeah. Like maybe he was trying to make fun or all the adults in order for them to like second think or remember what we used to be.
Hmm. And then when you want to say, make someone think again, you can say, in order to make them reevaluate.
Okay, reevaluate.
Like this, in order to make them reevaluate. Yeah. Yeah, I
There,
think that's true. Definitely. It made me reevaluate about how I'm living my life. It made me think, oh, I need to enjoy life more and nature more.
yeah,
And then thinking about the colors, what do you think colors mean in this piece?
like for the chair, the colors like or the whole piece represents like the positive feelings like joy, excitement, happiness. And the owl is all black and white. So it's like dull, boring, sad, angry.
Mhm. Yeah, and he's using the umbrella to protect him from the
Yeah,
rain, which is very colorful. So he's actually keeping himself from being happy
yeah,
and
exactly.
from tasting those colors. Yeah. All right. Let's go to the next one. All right. Would you read this, please?
During the 20th century, graffiti was closely associated with gangs who used it for claiming their territory, for memorializing dead members in an informal obituary, for boasting about crimes committed by gang members, and for challenging rival gangs. In the 1990s, a new form of graffiti emerged known as tagging, which entailed the repeated use of a symbol to mark territory.
Mhm. Okay, so let's go to obituary. When we say
Obituary.
the T, it kind of sounds like a CH. We say obituary.
Obituary.
Great. Yeah.
Okay.
Obituary.
Obituary. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So I think obituary is almost the same in Spanish, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you know that one. All right. Is there any other vocabulary that is a little difficult?
No, I'm good.
Okay. So it mentions tagging. That's the scribbling we talked about that we could see on the
Yeah.
bottom. There's tagging. And then for here, the gangs are basically using the graffiti kind of like their own history books on the walls. What do you think is important about this? Do you think it's important that the gangs have their history recorded?
I don't know. Mm, well, maybe maybe for them it is, and for us as we are not part of the gangs, we see it like uh, a thing that has no meaning. But since they are part of gangs, and sometimes they are like part of a sector of the population with like in the lowest extract of the economic,
Mm-hmm.
mm, and they don't have like another way to keep records of their history. They use graffiti as a means to do it.
Yeah.
Because other way is like once they die, it's like they never existed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. I don't know if it's every government, but at least like my government definitely doesn't care when people just disappear or die from low income neighborhoods.
Yeah,
And they just pretty much ignore it. Sometimes police don't even go to certain neighborhoods. So I felt like this was kind of a little beautiful and sad that they record these because some of their members, a lot of the gang members are teenagers.
yeah,
Yeah, they're just little kids. And this is kind of just like their way of like marking that they lived.
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to the next one. Okay. Can you read this one, please?
To some observers, graffiti is a form of public art, continuing the tradition of the murals commissioned by the U.S. Federal Art Project during the Great Depression and the work of Diego Rivera in Mexico or Mexico.
Uh-huh.
Like the murals of these artists, great works of graffiti can beautify a neighborhood and speak to the interest of a specific community. For example, the graffiti in many Hispanic neighborhoods in the United States is quite elaborate and is regarded by many as a form of urban art. The question
Urban.
of urban art. The question of whether such work is an innovative art form or a public nuisance has aroused much debate.
Mhm. Okay, so remember for urban, it's the sound,
Urban,
urban.
urban,
And then when you say mural, it sounds like there's a Y there. MYU, mural.
mural,
Uh-huh,
mural,
mural.
mural.
Great.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So let's look at this one. We talked about the murals at the beginning of the class and how much we liked them. Let's look at
Yeah.
this mural, which is recent by a graffiti artist I really like. Their name is Fake.
Okay.
What do you think about this mural?
Well, it definitely involves more skills than the the common graffiti we see most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And well, it represents something that is resin for many parts of the world, like the first responders, doctors, and nurses, all the efforts they made in order to keep the population safe. So I believe that's the reason there is the symbol of Superman in the mask. Like it was all the efforts and their caring for other people. It was their superpower.
Yeah, especially because like doctors are paid pretty well, but nurses are not paid as well. And
Yeah,
they're taking the same risks as the doctors and sometimes working longer hours and not getting as much respect. And then I don't know about if this happened in Mexico, but when I was in Japan, there were places that, like restaurants, that didn't allow medical staff. So if
yeah,
a doctor or nurse tried to go there for lunch, they said, no, you're not allowed. Did that happen in Mexico too? Like discrimination against the
yeah.
medical people?
Definitely during the like maybe from March to September,
Mhm.
you could hear cases on the news that people even throw throw things at nurses
Oh,
or make them to leave the the public transportation like the
mm,
buses or the subway
mhm.
are out of fear of getting infected with the virus.
Yeah. So when you look,
And
oh, mhm.
and also in some I saw a couple of times like taxis with a sign that say that no
Right.
nurses or doctors allow.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you think about that, what do you think his message was? What did he want to change with this mural?
Yeah, like give mm, like a way of saying like they are there for us. They are not against us.
Mhm.
And like the superheroes in comics, they are there to help people and protect them.
Yeah, yeah, and they're not our enemies.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay. And then at the bottom of this, it says the question of whether such work is an innovative art form or a public nuisance has aroused a lot of debate. And in what instance do you think that graffiti is a nuisance? When do you think it's not art, it's just a problem or vandalism?
Mm, for example, when they paint over the houses of or people then didn't give permission
Mhm.
because you expect to like to be your house to be like clean, and
Mhm.
it could you could say that the graffitis could make it look a little less beautiful or
Mhm. Yeah,
uh,
and then when
uh,
something's like private property, maybe they expect to be able to control what happens to their property,
yeah,
right?
yeah, because when the graffiti is made or is painted over like government or public property, it is we could say it is okay if the specific section or wall is I don't know how to say it, like is made for it. Like it, it wouldn't look good if you allow graffiti like in the main building or some high and building of the federal government.
Some
Like,
official building.
yeah, but
Right.
maybe in the walls surrounding, like, I don't know, like a sports center for
Mhm.
certain communities. It could be good good fun on embellishment of
Mhm.
the property.
Yeah. Or, for example, community centers.
Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of community centers could benefit from it. I know a lot of schools in the US have actually had students make murals
yeah,
so that there wouldn't be graffiti. Because usually when there's like a painting or a mural on the wall, people are less likely to do the tagging,
yeah,
because like at least most people who do graffiti actually respect the artists. No, not all. And I'm not sure
yeah,
about, it depends on the country too, but
yeah.
yeah. All right. And then let's go to the next part here. This is a mural that was done with a collaboration by this graffiti artist named Swoon and some youthful artists in this community. So this was a sponsored program by the government that they wanted to make city murals. So what do you think this mural is about?
Mm,
For example, in this particular mural, all of the figures, what is something you noticed all of the people have in common?
in like in the well, yeah, like they belong like in they're part of the working class.
Mhm. Yeah, it looks like a lot of working class people. Is there anything else that you noticed? There's also a lot of the figures are women. If you
Oh,
look closely, like most of them
yeah,
are. Yeah. And then what's another thing you noticed about them?
a lot of houses
Mm-hmm.
and like mm, the it would seem like the in part of the graffiti is representing like the effects of a big flood, like the consequence of a hurricane or tornado.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly right. It was actually done after there was a hurricane. Mm-hmm.
So maybe is the the intention of the artist was to evoke that sense of community, of helping each other in order to rebuild all that was destroyed by the hurricane.
Mm-hmm. And then if we look at the woman in the middle, she's very interesting. What's special about her? What do you think she means?
Can you repeat it? I didn't hear it. Like
Ah,
the
the
video
woman
pauses
in
a
the
bit.
middle, if you look in the
Okay.
mural, there's a woman and she's rising from, I don't know, ash or trash. I'm not sure what it
Yeah.
is, but she's rising from it. What's special about her? What do you think she represents?
Like, like the saying that goes like, keep your head up no matter what. Like, no matter what happens, you need to keep looking up in order to rise above the situation.
Mhm.
And like, also like a sign of hope.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. She looks like a sign of hope to me. She's also got like some trash that's like inside of her. And and like on her chest too, there's like pieces of food trash. What do you
Yeah.
think the trash is about?
Like, I don't know, like the way she's painted seems like the artist was trying to say that even the bad stuff can make us stronger and help us grow
Yeah.
as a person.
Mm-hmm.
So even though she is coming out of the trash or the ashes, she seems like a very strong woman.
Yeah, she seems powerful.
Yeah, powerful.
Mhm. All right, let's go to the next one. Okay. And can you read this one for me, please?
Graffiti became notoriously prominent in New York City in the late 20th century. Large, elaborate, multicolored graffiti created with spray paint on building walls and subway cards came to define the urban landscape. The art's
Urban.
urban. The art was fascination with artists who functioned outside traditional gallery channels, created an interest in this form of self-expression. In the 1980s, New York artists such as Kit Haring and Jean-Michel Basquiat gained notoriety for their graffiti and parlayed this recognition into successful careers as painters represented by top galleries.
Okay. So let's do the pronunciation of notoriety. We say no ta riety. Notoriety.
Notoriety.
Yeah, notoriety.
Noro again.
Notoriety.
Notoriety.
Ooh, that was perfect. Yeah. Notoriety. All right. And do you know notoriety?
Yes, it's like gaining fame.
Yeah, fame. And then underneath that word, we have parlayed. Do you know what it means to parlay something?
Mm, kind of like negotiate,
One more time.
negotiate.
Parlay, it's kind of like to transition or change something,
Oh, okay.
right? So, for example, a parlay can be negotiate, like in Pirates of the Caribbean, they say parlay, right?
Yeah.
But here in this particular article, it means to transition something from one thing to another.
Oh, I see.
So
I
the
see.
noun parlay is like that negotiation. But here, parlay is a verb and it means to change something from one thing to another. So Basquiat and Herring were street artists. That was their career. But they parlayed that career into going to top galleries and museums.
Yeah,
So they changed their career from the street art to the museums and galleries.
the galleries.
Okay. And then, do you know prominent? Graffiti became notoriously prominent.
Mm, like abundant or gaining importance.
Yeah, gaining importance or gaining notice. Mhm. Okay. And then if we look at the picture by Basquiat, or Basquiat, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Everybody I know pronounces it differently.
Yeah.
So I'll just stick with Basquiat. So when we look at this painting, what do you think this is about?
Well, like at least here in Mexico, the common one of the common news we hear about the police in the United States, the relation between the police and mm, black people
Yeah, or people of color in
or people
general.
of color. Yeah,
Yeah. And if you look at it, the police look very realistic,
yeah.
right? They almost look like a photo. It's like photorealism. Why do you think that the man that they are checking, why do you think he looks different?
Mm, maybe because just to give an idea of the group of people it represents, but also just not giving specific details in order to
To make
be,
it anonymous?
yes, and able to all the people to feel related to the
Ah,
man,
yeah.
because the way this painting you cannot know for sure if he's portraying like a young man or a woman or an adult.
Right. Pretty much the only thing we know is that they're probably black because that's the main color that they use for
Yeah,
them. He
or
also kind
maybe,
of draws like a skeleton shape. Why do you think he
yeah,
uses the skeleton?
and maybe also the rest of the colors, because I can see like there is like yellow, orange, red, and
Mm-hmm.
some hues of brown that
Mm-hmm.
could represent another type of population that normally gets like arrested by the police.
Yeah, that's a great point. Mm-hmm. And
And maybe the skeleton is there to in order to represent the the, the danger that this person could be in,
mm-hmm. Yeah, it
because
could be
sometimes there are cases of brutal actions by the police.
brutality by the police. Mm-hmm. And then also maybe it tells us a little bit about how they're feeling.
Yeah, that once the the cops are near you, you are almost or practically dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So let's see if we have enough time. Yeah, we have enough time. I'm going to show you a video
Okay.
about Basquiat, and I want you to think about some of the things that he wanted to communicate with his work. So, for example, if you could tell me um, what kind of thought process he had when he was doing his art, and what did he want to accomplish with his art? Okay, one moment and I'll share the video with you. Okay. I found a really cool TED Talk.
A sky blue canvas ripped open by an enormous skull. Teeth.
Okay, one moment. Let's put the CC because they talk pretty fast. All right. Okay.
A sky blue canvas ripped open by an enormous skull, teeth bared through visceral slashes of oil and spray paint. In 2017, this untitled artwork was auctioned off for over $110 million. But it's not the work of some old master. These strokes of genius belong to 21-year-old Black Brooklynite Jean-Michel Basquiat, one of America's most charismatic painters and currently its highest sold. Born in 1960 to a Haitian father and a Puerto Rican mother, Basquiat spent his childhood making art and mischief in Boerum Hill. While he never attended art school, he learned by wandering through New York galleries and listening to the music his father played at home. He drew inspiration from unexpected places, scribbling his own versions of cartoons, comic books, and biblical scenes on scrap paper from his father's office. But it was a medical encyclopedia that arguably exerted the most powerful influence on Basquiat. When young Jean-Michel was hit by a car, his mother brought a copy of Gray's Anatomy to his hospital bed. It ignited a lifelong fascination with anatomy that manifested in the skulls, sinew, and guts of his later work, which frequently explores both the power and vulnerability of marginalized bodies. By 17, he launched his first foray into the art world with his friend Al Diaz. They spray-painted cryptic statements and symbols all over Lower Manhattan, signed with the mysterious moniker Samo. These humorous, profound, and rebellious declarations were strategically scattered throughout Soho's art scene. And after revealing himself as the artist, Basquiat leveraged Samo's success to enter the scene himself, selling postcards, playing clubs with his avant-garde band, and boldly seeking out his heroes. By 21, he turned to painting full-time. His process was a sort of calculated improvisation. Like beat writers who composed their work by shredding and reassembling scraps of writing, Basquiat used similar cut-up techniques to remix his materials. When he couldn't afford canvases, he fashioned them out of discarded wood he found on the street. He used oil stick, crayons, spray paint, and pencil, and pulled quotes from the menus, comic books, and textbooks he kept open on the studio floor. He kept these sources open on his studio floor, often working on multiple projects at once, pulling in splintered anatomy, reimagined historical scenes, and skulls transplanted from classical still lives. Basquiat repurposed both present-day experiences and art history into an inventive visual language. He worked as if inserting himself into the legacy of artists he borrowed from, producing collages that were just as much in conversation with art history as they were with each other. For instance, Toussaint Louverture versus Savonarola and Undiscovered Genius of the Mississippi Delta offer two distinct visions of Basquiat's historical and contemporary concerns, but they echo each other in the details, such as the reappearing head that also resurfaces in PPCD. All these pieces form a network that offers physical evidence of Basquiat's restless and prolific mind. These chaotic canvases won rapid acclaim and attention, but despite his increasingly mainstream audience, Basquiat insisted on depicting challenging themes of identity and oppression. Marginalized figures take center stage, such as prisoners, cooks, and janitors. His obsession with bodies, history, and representation can be found in works evoking the Atlantic slave trade and African history, as well as pieces focusing on contemporary race relations. In less than a decade, Basquiat made thousands of paintings and drawings, along with sculpture, fragments of poetry, and music. His output accelerated alongside his meteoric rise to fame, but his life and work were cut tragically short when he died from a drug overdose at the age of 27. After his death, Basquiat's work only increased in value, but the energy and flair of his pieces have impacted much more than their financial worth. Today, his influence swirls around us in music, poetry, fashion, and film, and his art retains the power to shock, inspire, and get under our skin. If you want to keep exploring the world of art and artists, check out this playlist.
Okay. All right. So from that video, what do you think Basquiat was trying to accomplish?
I don't know.
Think about the kind of people that he did graffiti of. What kind of people was he interested in?
Well, it was like often representations of segregated people or segregated groups,
Yeah, they said marginalized.
marginalized people.
Yeah, marginalized. Like this. Segregated is a little different. I mean, separated. And at
Okay.
that point in time when he was alive, we weren't segregated by law anymore, although people do still segregate, but marginalized, definitely. Okay. All right. So why do you think he was interested in marginalized people?
I don't have a clue.
Maybe he had I think a Haitian father and
Yeah,
a Cuban
and
mother.
maybe that was the reason, because like maybe where he lives, they didn't see him as a member of the community or as a part of the group.
Mhm.
So maybe it was a way for him to express his feelings about, and also then as he grew up, or grew old, like a way to make the rest of the people notice the situation.
Mhm. And why do you think he became so famous? He's so well known. I didn't even know anything about graffiti art, but I had heard his name when I was still in, I think, high school.
Mm, maybe in part because of the way mm, that it was mentioned in the video, like it was like cryptic message and just several graffitis around town, and they were made anonymously, so they
Mhm.
didn't know who made them until they, like, maybe when the big interest of the people was at the top, it's when he revealed his identity. So he was already famous because of the people keep maybe talking about without knowing him, and most of the time in that's that's something that makes things interesting, because we always want to know who and why.
Yeah, yeah, we're kind of nosy. We want to know
Yeah,
everyone's secrets.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah, I think he was really brilliant how he used people's curiosity to get them to invest in his art.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think also at that time in the 1980s, the representation for people of color was not much at all, especially in art. So I think that also was something that interested people because they hadn't really seen much of it before. Yeah. Okay. Come on, computer. We already did this. Next. Next. Here we go. Okay. All right. Will you please read this one?
Most jurisdictions have laws prohibiting
Prohibiting.
prohibiting graffiti, and in some countries punishment is severe. For example, in Singapore, violators are subject to caning. During the 1980s and 90s, many jurisdictions saw ways to eliminate graffiti, fearing it will lead to the debasement of the community. Significant resources were allocated for abatement and other cleanup efforts, and some cities even introduced
Mural.
murals program or free walls to provide legal opportunities for urban youths to express their artistic creativity.
Mhm. Okay, at the top where it says violators, it sounds like
Violate,
violators.
violators.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then don't forget urban
Urban.
and mural.
Yeah, I keep mixing that
Yeah,
sound.
it's difficult because we have so many different pronunciation for you.
Yeah,
Okay, so here, have
and
you ever
also
heard of?
because it's very similar to the Spanish counterpart.
Yeah, I find that too. Like usualmente, I always want to say usualmente because
Yeah,
it sounds so similar to the English one.
and
Okay.
in case we have mural y urbano.
Mm-hmm.
Since making the change is sometimes.
Yeah, it's hard to break the habit of how
Yeah,
you pronounce it in your language. I know, me too. For Spanish, especially, there's so many similar words.
yeah.
Okay. Oh, have you heard of caning? Over here, it says in Singapore, violators are subject to caning.
Yeah,
Do you
I
know
believe
cane,
it's
like a candy cane, for example, or the cane that you hold to walk to
yeah,
help you walk?
yeah.
So caning is when they take that cane and they hit your legs with it until you bleed.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a pretty violent punishment.
Yeah.
And it's still the punishment now, 2022,
Okay.
for graffiti in Singapore. Okay.
Wow, that's
I
tough.
know. I know. I bet they don't have a lot of graffiti though. All right. And then, over here it says they fear that the graffiti would lead to the debasement of the community. What do you think debasement is?
Mm, like break the community or their principles or of the community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like destroying it or lowering the value of the
Yeah,
community. So yeah, they're worrying that the community will have a worse condition because of the graffiti. What do you think about that? Do you think that graffiti makes the debasement of a community?
maybe it's. Maybe I think graffiti is not the reason. It's more like the consequence of the debasement.
Right. Yeah, I agree. It's a symptom. It's not the
Yeah,
disease. Yeah.
exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't think cleaning up the graffiti will take care of the problem. The problem is the poverty, the lack of education.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then over here it says allocated. Significant resources were allocated. Do you know allocated?
Yeah, like for example, in any case, they give like the money to the program,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
like to take a part of the budget
Mm-hmm.
and assign it to something.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And then they say for abatement. Do you know abatement?
No, I don't know that word.
Abatement is the noun for when something is stopped or lessened.
Okay.
So they want to either stop the graffiti or make it happen less often.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, all right. So from all of these different solutions, we have caning, we have money sent to cleanup, we have the free walls so that people can use the murals and make their own art on these murals. What do you think is effective?
The last one, the the free walls program.
Mm-hmm.
to allow the people to express themselves,
Yeah.
and maybe use part of that budget to try to solve the real problem of the community.
Mm-hmm. I have a question for you about the reason why graffiti artists put their art on public places or outside, basically. They almost never put their graffiti art like on a canvas or inside. Usually it's outside where everybody can see it. Why do you think they do that?
In order for them for, like, let's just say, regular people to see it, because digamos, like, the galleries are most of the time are not open or are not accessible for all people.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to spread the message, the artists use the streets in order to put their art.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's kind of like the people's way of making their own art gallery.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you see this picture of it's by Lady Pink. She is one of my favorite graffiti artists. What do you think her graffiti art is about? What is this one trying to say?
Mm, it's like a protest against law enforcers,
Mm-hmm.
because I can see like the logo at the top is like toxic department inspections,
Mm-hmm.
and also the rose has a peace sign,
Mm-hmm.
and the officer is like it's about to, like, poking it with something.
Yeah, with it looks like a knife or something. I don't know what
Yeah.
it is. Yeah. And also, how do you think that the inspector feels about this rose?
Like, he feels like at least the rose or what it represents is dangerous
Uh-huh.
for him,
Yeah. Yeah,
because
he's
he's wearing a mask and
mhm.
gloves.
Yeah, he seems frightened.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And maybe disgusted even. What do you think the rose symbolizes?
Mm, like mm, like for the symbol, like peace, community, like all people of, maybe, like we were talking before, marginalized people.
Yeah, it could be the community. And then also traditionally, roses represent love. So they've got like love and these or beauty. So there's these positive things that are represented by the rose, and the inspector is terrified of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think the message she's trying to give is?
Mm, like, maybe sometimes the people in power, they don't really care about the rest of the population, and
Mm-hmm.
only about themselves. They only care about themselves. and they see the rest of the population con like disgust, fear.
Yeah, yeah, they see it like an enemy.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, I thought this one made me laugh because the inspector is just like, oh my God, what is that?
Mhm.
They just look so horrified by this cute little
Yeah.
rose. Okay. All right, so here we have another piece. And I like how this artist, that the dirt and the bricks are real. And
Okay.
then there's the painting in the back. What do you think this one is about?
Like the consequence or the results or war or civil conflict.
Mhm. Why do you think that the man is carrying a flag?
Mm, maybe for the feeling of representation or patriotism, and to try, maybe he's trying to say that even if the buildings around are destroyed and the people is the real country and they will keep standing.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great one. I love that message that you got. And look at his face. Well, how do you think that he feels? Look at his face and his body posture too.
Yeah, he seems so. She's mm, seems so calm and ready to take action or something.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, he still seems strong and powerful. He doesn't look
Yeah,
defeated.
yeah, exactly.
Mhm. He does look tired. He doesn't look like he's had a good day, but he still looks powerful. Yeah. And then why do you think that the artist chose this location? Like you look at the ground in front, why do you think they thought this would be a good location?
Because it helps to transmit the message, and also it's like an additional part of the painting,
Mm-hmm.
like another element
Yeah.
to make it feel like almost real, because there is like the 2D element and the 3D element for the the I forgot the word. Robo, no, the rocks, the parts of the
Ah, the
building the
rubble.
basket. Rubble. Yeah.
Yeah, the rubble. Yeah, it's like this, the rubble. Yeah, the artist is incorporating the rubble as part of the painting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you think that they want to communicate with it? What are they telling people? What action do they want people to take, do you think?
Like to be strong, to keep believing, like be ready to the efforts of rebuilding everything.
Yeah. And maybe to tell them we don't have to be defeated.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if our cities are destroyed. as long as we're alive, we're still here. Yeah.
Yeah, we can rebuild everything.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. I think we have time for one more. Okay, you choose. Do you want this one, this one, or this one? This one or this one? What do you like?
I don't know.
Let's do this one then. I like how they have the trees
Okay.
in this one. So what does this one make you think?
I don't know, like I can see it in two ways, like what the image of the person is like representing either the planet Earth or the human race. Like even like, for example, if he's the planet is, it gives birth to the trees, and if he's the human race, like trying to say that after we are all gone, life will keep
Yeah, that
growing.
nature will take over.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting because he looks like he could be in pain or happy. It's hard to tell.
Yeah. Or amazed by the trees.
Yeah, it could be like just that he's astonished at how beautiful the trees are. Yeah, I think in this one, the trees just feel like they're so powerful, and he just has to bow down for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Oh, we're almost out of time. Do you have any last questions?
No, really. Well, maybe just like how did I did this last month with the classes.
This last month. Well, I think you are so eloquent. I
Really?
really enjoy your classes because you always introduce ideas to me that I think are interesting, and you're good at choosing your vocabulary too. Your vocabulary is great. I'm actually fighting to find new vocabulary for you. I do think we need to work a little bit with pronunciation, especially for the U's and your J's.
Okay.
And we'll also work on expanding vocabulary and using the correct preposition.
Okay.
Because sometimes, like, instead of, for example, anxious about, maybe like anxious to or anxious for, like which ones you can use with anxious. Things like that, just small little details. I have to work hard to find problems with your English. So, but it's really fun teaching you. All right. Anything else?
Right. No.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want any homework, or are you okay?
Maybe just this weekend, I'm okay with no homework.
Okay. Enjoy your weekend. I'll see you next week.
See ya.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.